Welcome everybody to the AACT, American Association of Community Theater. Um, this particular day is for the industry connections. This is free live 30-minute presentations from our theater resource partners showcasing services and how they support theaters during this difficult time. At aact.org/webinars, you can find out lots of information about our upcoming fall webinar series, future industry connections, such as this one, as well as AACT member roundtables, exclusive online roundtables for inspiration, ideas, and expertise on a wide range of topics. You do need to be a member for that. So please, if you're not already an AACT member, consider becoming one, because there are lots of previously recorded webinars that are archived on our website for members, many of which were related to COVID-19 issues. Joining us today is Traylon Doler from Broadway on Demand. I want to let everybody know about the Q&A. There's a little chat button and there's a little Q&A button. We prefer that if you have a question that you want answered, put it in the Q&A button. That's usually located at the bottom center of your screen, but it's different for every device. There's also an option to up a question on that Q&A. So if you see a question that you're like, oh yeah, I want that answered, make sure you do the little, I think it's like a little check or a thumbs up or something, and it ups it to the top of the list. So the more votes it gets, the more likely we'll be able to answer that question. I think that that's all that I have at the moment. I'm going to pass it over to Traylon to talk to us about Broadway on Demand. Hi, Traylon.
Hi, Chad Allen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, AACT world. I'm back for another one, another visit. But it's been a while, and as we keep changing and growing, I thought it'd be great to pop back in and talk about what I have been learning, what we have been learning about the world of streaming theater, our new obsession. We are now, since last I was here, we have just reached 100,000 subscribers on Broadway On Demand in 114 countries. And we are also now bringing on most of the major Lord theaters. We'll have 1,000 streamed productions by the end of the year that have already committed to streaming their shows. So theater is not dead. Stuff is happening. And so I just kind of wanted to come and talk to you about what we're doing and what I'm learning, and share that with you, and then answer any questions that you all have and hear about what people are finding successful. So I thought first we could start with a little survey that I think Winston is going to put up just to hear what folks are doing so far. There it is. Where are you in your streaming adventure? We streamed a show and love it. We're planning to stream but haven't yet. We have no idea how or what to stream, so we're waiting it out for now. Streaming is terrible and we want nothing to do with it. I'm voting.
We can't vote.
Well, I'm voting mentally, Chad Allen.
I'm voting mentally. Hosts and panelists cannot vote. But you, the attendees, who are most important, you can vote. Please do so now. And also November 3rd, if you haven't already.
Yes, this is just practice voting.
It's practice. Get that voting. Just waiting on everybody to get their votes in. You can pick any. There's no wrong answer.
Let's check the results now.
Okay.
All right. Great. So it looks like most of our folks are planning to stream but haven't yet. That's awesome. That's great. So I'm going to give you just a little kind of overview of Broadway On Demand in general, and then we'll talk about specific ways that we can partner, and then we'll talk about kind of some outside of the box thinking that we're discovering that people are doing to support their theaters in this current time. So Broadway On Demand is the third of a portfolio of companies with the same ownership. Our sibling companies are Broadway Licensing Play Scripts, the stock and amateur licensing company. And then we had a live theatrical development division called Stageworks Productions, which is now a digital theatrical development company. And Broadway On Demand was born out of that moment in March when you all were calling the offices and saying, hey, I can't have an audience, can I stream my show? So we wanted to, one, chase down those rights with our authors, and two, then create a space where we knew that the authors that we represented, that their work would be protected in a really safe environment. And then also just to find a way to make it possible when people were going to be able to stream again. We wanted to have a space that we could be a partner in all of that streaming content. So that was the impetus. Then, as we all know, you were like, never mind, I can't even be in my building. I can't have actors. See you in a couple months. But we had already started, so we said, let's keep building this. And so the next kind of phase was everybody making kind of COVID content all over the internet. And if you were a theater nerd like me, you had your schedule, 7 p.m. I got to go on Facebook Live, 8 p.m. I'm going to pop over to Playbill, 9 p.m. I'm going to go to Broadway World. And so we thought, what if there's one home for kind of all of that content to exist in one place? And so that's what we started building with Broadway On Demand. Some folks at the beginning made the comment that that was not Broadway if we were kind of opening up to the whole world. We really believe that Broadway is an aspirational brand. It is the theater you make in your communities. It's the theater that happens at high school. It's theater that happens in other countries around the world. So we were like, let's create a really even space where everybody can choose what they want to watch. And that was the plan. We launched on May 18th. And like I said, we've just kind of blown up. And we've streamed content from all over the globe. We had the first South Korean mega musical, which is Excalibur. It was the first time it had ever been streamed in the US, all in Korean. Music by Frank Wildhorn. So he wrote the music and then it was in Korean. It was kind of an amazing experience. We had a music from Russia, an adaptation of Anna Karenina. We have our UK partners that are streaming stuff. We have the new production of Last 5 Years that was recorded during the pandemic is going to be on the platform. So it was creating really a global space for all of us to gather, be excited, and really for users to kind of control their journey. And part of that came actually from a survey that we did of community theater folks. And when we said, what was the number one thing you'd want to see on a streaming platform? The answer was other community theater productions, and which is awesome and so exciting. And so we said there should be one spot where it's not somebody curating and saying it's only Broadway shows or it's only this, we decide what the level is. We wanted people to be able to find whatever they wanted and all join in one space. And so now folks are coming back on the platform. I think we have about 150 applications that come in a week for people that are wanting to stream. And what's so exciting is that now that we have this global space of 100,000 people, that we see people come in for, let's say, the Nick Cordero Memorial that we produced. So we saw people coming in, but now they're a part of Broadway On Demand. And so as they explore the website, they are finding Tuscaloosa Little Theater's production of The Odd Couple and sticking around and watching that. And then those theaters are starting to build their audiences. So hopefully the joy out of this moment is that we're going to be able to start discovering theaters and all the amazing work that you all are doing, that folks that you would never have access to can start kind of coming in and seeing the work that you're doing. That's the big plan, which we're so excited about. So I think next, I'm going to just show you kind of a little bit, if you haven't been on the Broadway On Demand website. If you have, I'll show you maybe some nooks and crannies that you haven't seen. So I am going to, there we go. Great. So this is our main landing page for Broadway On Demand. This is content, a mix kind of on the main landing page of some of our professional theater partners, as well as some of the content that other people are creating, producers, Broadway producers, some really great kind of events that are happening, some content that we filmed, which I'll talk about a little bit later, some educational content, some of our originals, and then the live schedule. So this is kind of the main space. Then I will show you when we pop over to show share, this is where we're starting to see what's so incredible. This is a list of all the live upcoming productions that are slated to happen so far that people have signed up. You can see there's middle school productions, there's high school productions, and these are all ones that'll be streamed live. These are all the ones that are on demand now. And so what's so exciting is that it creates this space where I came in to watch one production of Clue, and now I feasibly could buy tickets and watch 20 productions of Clue, which is really, really cool. If you're directing Clue and you're like, how are they doing this? You can pop over and watch another production. Or if you know a friend is in a production, now you get to see their show and they live across the country. That is the show share universe. One little quarter that I love so much is that we also have a dedication to emerging composers and lyricists. So if you're ever interested in new musicals and want to discover the next big hit, we've partnered with all of these different composer lyricists to showcase their work. So if you pop in, we can see the details, and it's all a collection of videos of songs that they've written. Sometimes there's, you know, the whole first act of a show is in some of these. So if you're excited about the work of new musicals, this is the great spot to come and kind of find those. We've also started to partner with some of our major regional theaters around the country. So our first partnership is with the ACT in San Francisco. We've partnered with George Street Playhouse, all over the country. So Woolly Mammoth in Washington, DC, the Shakespeare Theater Company, the Guthrie, basically any major regional theater that is around, that we're starting to partner with them. So if you're interested in finding out what's happening at those major institutions as well, you can always pop onto the site and find the content that they're creating. So that's kind of generally what we've made, which is a lot of pieces. And again, I will say, as we are all learning and growing, Chad Allen, when I first popped on this call, was saying, hey, we streamed with you and our patrons had a rough time. They got lost. And that was such valuable feedback. And now I checked in after he said that, and we've added a special FAQ just for that very issue we have. So we're all here to work and learn and listen and all make it the easiest possible journey. So next, I want to talk about a little bit of the ways that we can partner. So obviously, partner one is you can share your show on the Broadway On Demand site. Again, you have people find it from all over the world that come in and find your content. That process, we really pride ourselves in having a kind of a white glove service for you. So somebody will be there, right, Chad Allen, to meet with you, hear about what your show wants to be, take you through the process. Chad Allen was saying, even on a Saturday when his patrons were having trouble, he was able to contact somebody. So we like to make sure we have folks that are there for you and available to always help.
I'm going to jump in right there. It was really great. Like I thought it was going to be like one person assigned to me. There was like a team. I had 4 people met with me just like this on Zoom and walked me through every step. It was great.
Oh, good. Yeah, well, you know, we're all theater people first. And we know how scary it was. I was an artistic director of a small theater in the cornfields of Illinois. And I just keep thinking about what I would be doing now in that position and how terrifying it must be. And the one biggest comment I've heard from everybody is, well, my patrons are very old. Every theater has said that. And so we know it's true. It's a whole other different kind of lift in communication. And so we want to make sure that you're really armed to be able to deal with that and help your patrons through that journey. The second way that I'm really excited to tell you about that we could partner is for those of you that were like, hey, we're holding, we might be waiting it out, we don't know what to do. So next week we are launching our Preferred Partners program, which is an affiliate program where you can sign up and there will be a list of kind of high value content pieces. Some of those coming up are the Moscow Ballet's production of The Nutcracker. There is a tribute show of The Carpenter's Christmas, some other really, really exciting events that we're gonna have available. And essentially, once you sign up for the program, you can pick your event, you can download the marketing materials, you'll get a code for your theater to use for the rest of the year. And then you send out an email, say, hey, check this out. And if you use our theater's code, the theater will get 20% of the revenue that comes in from the folks that you did that for. So if you are interested in that, I will put my email address right here. to sign up for it. And like I said, you guys are getting a sneak peek. It launches next week. But if you send me an email and say, I'm into this, send me your information, we'll get you all signed up for it. But I think this is an amazing opportunity to, if you're not quite ready to stream something, or even if you are, but you have a gap, or you just want to make money. It's literally money for an email. Of course, the plus for us is that you help spread the word. And but the more exciting thing is that you have content then to communicate with your patrons. So those are two really exciting ways that we can partner together. Um, so now I'm going to take a little switch, because for those folks that said I hate streaming theater, I personally feel like sometimes it's really hard to watch actors on a stage in an empty theater. I don't know if everybody watched the Patti LuPone concert that just happened, and she would hit her big high note, belt her last note, and then like hit her pose, and then it was just silence. And that is that's challenging. That's hard. That makes me sad. It makes me miss being in the building. Um, so some things that people are doing that are really exciting are, what can we get out of this kind of medium that could be really exciting? What does it mean to be able to be close up on an actor? What does it mean to be in a different space than a theater and do a show? One of the most exciting projects that we are working on is with a company in Los Angeles called Sloss and Rec. And it's actually Shia LaBeouf has a acting school and company. And they've developed a piece that they're going to be performing outdoors, a drive-in theater piece. The cars park in the round around the action. And so you watch through your car. We're going to be putting a camera in to stream outside of, get the view of life if you're in the car. Then one of the characters in the show actually is documenting the whole thing on their phone. And so that will be available to live stream on your phone. So if you're sitting in the car, you can watch out your window, or you can watch inside the show on your phone. And then we said, well, because we're a very yes and company, we're like, also, we should put cameras on the outside. And so filming the whole thing. And so eventually, once it all happens, the user will be able to watch a live performance and switch camera views. So essentially, it's an immersive digital production. That's way far on one end, but there's so many ways that you could think about how to do this, about where to put the camera. What does it mean to do the same show? Human Race Theater in Dayton, Ohio is doing a great production of a Sean Grennan play. Lots of you do love a Sean Grennan play, but it's set in a bar. And so talking to their artistic team, I said, if we do 4 live performances, we can put the camera someplace different for each of the performances. So I get a whole different view of what that story feels like. It's 4 characters, 4 performances. Each one is from kind of a different point of view. Then you could edit it all together and then have an on-demand option. Super easy to do. But I thought that's a really, really inventive way to lean into where we are in the moment. So those are kind of some artistic ideas I would toss out to you. This is where it gets super cool, though, is when we start talking about donors and sponsorships and how we can honor those and even dive deeper. So I will tell you, in the partnership with ACT in San Francisco, they did 4 live performances on Zoom, fully live using Zoom, did the play. And they opened the doors, the virtual doors, a half an hour before. And you walked in, there was music playing. And then just like as if you're at the movies, they had a slideshow going. And during that, it was like some fun trivia questions. It was information about the playwright. It was ads, and their sponsors were listed. And then about 7 minutes before it started, they started playing videos, short little sponsorship videos. So that's an amazing way to right now to honor kind of those sponsorships that you have and donors. And it also was so engaging. And they had somebody from the theater in the chat that was like, we're so happy you're here. Isn't this world crazy? But isn't this awesome? And here we go. We're going to go on this journey together. And so they really created what they called a virtual lobby. And it was such an exciting moment before we all walked into the theater together. So that's one way to do that. In moving forward, one of the things I love talking about is access on multiple levels, but right now we'll talk about donor access. What do donors love the most, or sponsors, right? They love those like select private events. So the best example I've used is what if you're doing a big splashy musical, right? 42nd Street, let's say, and you get to go see the show. And then your donors, high end, also then have access to a stream. You put a camera back behind the stage, you stream the whole production from the view of backstage. That is like a high end item that costs you so little money. So that's one way that we can really kind of find that. What does it mean to stream an event and then have a private Zoom room where they get to meet the actors or the director? There's so many ways to connect now with people. That's really exciting. So those are some other ones kind of in that donor sponsorship world. The other piece of this of access is, and I've been on here and talked about it before, but is really is one, finding new audiences, and two, honoring audiences that used to be able to attend our theaters that can't be there. So the Rev Theater in Auburn, New York was streaming a concert, and they had such a beautiful aha moment where they realized that they have so many patrons who have aged out of being able to get into their building because of mobility issues. And so they contacted them all through email and found out wherever they were, and then sent them links so that those folks could be wherever they were able to join and be a part of the theater again that they had loved so much, which is thrilling. I think there's also a really great moment of in the education world about reaching out to schools and communities. We have a lot of folks now who are doing virtual field trips or virtual student matinees. So that's something we've worked on quite a bit, which gives you the opportunity to do a special production. You sell a version of it to that school. We know in the past there's been a lot of barriers for certain, like if it's a low income school or Title I school, that even getting the money to get the bus to come see your production can be a little too much. And I've talked to a lot of theaters that say we can afford like to sponsor one bus for our whole run of a show or two buses. And now that's no longer an issue. You could literally can just give a code and that school can join you and watch your theater. And then of course, then they're gonna fall in love with it. And then you're gonna invite them to your next show. And then all of a sudden you're building that new kind of pipeline of audience. So thinking about kind of streaming as the way to make your theater more accessible is really thrilling. So I think the best thing next is to answer any questions that anybody has. I see.
Sure. Before we start on that, Traylon, do you want to say anything about maybe the process, a little short about the process and the difference between live streaming and scheduled on-demand broadcasting?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. There's really three kind of modalities. That's a new word I learned in this tech world. So the kind of three things that people are doing is one, you can do a live production just like we're doing now. That can be just fully live streamed out of the space onto the platform. People are watching it real time. There is the option to pre-record your content, but you still want to eventize. You still want everybody to kind of gather and be there for that same moment. So you can pre-record it and then it can be pushed at 7 p.m., let's say, and we're all there. Again, virtual lobby, you can do, it's all this kind of the same idea. And then the third one is if you have a piece of pre-recorded content, is doing it just as on demand for, 2 weeks, it's available. And I can watch it for 24 hours, 48 hours, the whole time, however that wants to look like for you. Those are kind of the three main options. And then of course, there's all kinds of mix and match. I want to do a live Q&A after, but it's a pre-recorded piece of content. I think we've seen every type of model possible.
And there's a little bit of a hybrid that you could do there, as you were mentioning, yes, with the chat after sort of thing.
Or a red carpet before.
Who doesn't? Red carpet before. So, and obviously you want to make sure that you go through the proper licensing through your publishers if it's published content, get that taken care of, the exact kind of, and work hand in hand with your publishing houses and your streaming platform houses. Let's do some questions. What are you doing to maintain quality? I recently saw a show online, not on your service, where the taping was so bad many actors could not be heard. Basically a bust, not worth the ticket price.
That's hard. And I'm not sure, Shannon, um, if that was pre-recorded or if they pushed it live. But that's one of the pieces that Chad Allen was talking about with our intake team, is that we always have a technician on there and a production person so that they can answer any of those kind of questions. And we generally, obviously, unless it's live, we'll tell you kind of here's best practices for that live. But if it's pre-recorded, we'll take a peek at it beforehand just to make sure that there's no suggestions, that we can give. And also, we're super open to helping. So send an email. Be like, I'm about to do this. I'm super nervous. Can you help? And then the answer is always yes. So that's what I would say.
Since many of the licenses seem to have the caveat about unprecedented times, what do you foresee regarding content that community theaters will have the rights to stream in the future?
Great question. So I know specifically um, uh, for play scripts and Broadway licensing that we went after those rights forever after. So those aren't going away. I know with some of the musicals, it was very like, especially like some of the bigger musical catalogs and musicals that are newer because there's a film attached, that those were more of the unprecedented times kind of things. So it will not be everything that you can stream for sure. Um,
It's not everything right now.
it's not everything right now. That's
No.
very true. Some people were more aggressive chasing down those kind of relationships with authors, but I do think we say all the time, and it's being said like in the Broadway world, in the major regional theater world, that the toothpaste is out of the tube. This is not going away, and there's so many more. People are just going to keep diving into this because of these ideas of access, these ideas of like special events, and of really just having a global audience. I mean, that's nobody doesn't want that. So solutions are going to be found, I think, as the licensing houses move forward for sure.
Is there a space for playwrights like the space that you have for composers and lyricists?
There is not yet. We started with composer lyricist because it's music based and there's usually videos for it. I think the next phase is going to be directors and choreographers, but there should definitely be some kind of playwrights. Karen, I would say you should send me an email and tell me what you think should be on the playwrights section. Whether it's people recording monologues, or I'd love to hear what your ideas are.
Do we contract with you after the show is recorded and ready to stream, or does the Broadway On Demand license need to be coordinated simultaneously?
Totally up to you. If it's a published work and you want to do that, then record it and let us know. You can actually stream it after you have it for your audiences. If you want to like do a second round, if you say you want to do it on YouTube first and then come over to us anytime, I think, yeah. Though if you are going to record it, we can help. So do reach out sooner than later.
And hypothetically, there may very well be a theater that has gone through the proper channels previously to get a quote archival video license, and then say they have it from pre-COVID. They had it from the year 2001, and they had that archival video license. They still have that content. They could reach back out to the publishing house where they got that show from, request a streaming license for the pre-recorded content that they already have, and then contact you to stream it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So hypothetically,
yeah,
if you went through all the process beforehand legally first.
For sure.
Don't go to that publishing house now and say, hey, I have pre-recorded content of that show, unless you had a license to record that show.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That's all the questions that were in the Q&A, but if there's any, we have a couple of more minutes. If there's any other questions or anything we didn't touch on, Traylon.
No, I would actually love to finish up by showing you something we made, which I'm super excited about as well. That's kind of outside of the world of streaming, but also still really awesome. And I'd love to share with you is we went into the studio and because we come from a company that has such an education background, we wanted to build kind of training tools for performers and educators. And so we created what's called Broadway Access. There's an individual subscription and then a classroom subscription. That's really awesome. So I'm going to show you the trailer for that, I think. to finish us out. And then if you're interested in that, you can go to broadwayaccess.com and learn more about it. But let me pull this up. Just end with this trailer.
This is access to Broadway like nothing you've ever seen before.
If you're going to be a producer, the first thing you must have.
Journey, the fun begins when we begin to explore.
The optimal experience to me is that you're moved not just by the story, but how the story is told.
What advice do you have for young writers writing musicals today?
Never play it safe, ever. Safety creates run.
I'm Tara Rubin, Broadway casting director, and this is what you need to know.
I'm going to help you navigate your first year in New York.
Truth is, someone is doing it right, and they're the one who's getting the job.
This is Savion Bluff. I'm John Rua. Ebony Williams. Danny Gardner. Welcome to class.
I'm so excited to get you moving.
You don't have to follow anybody else's path because yours is your own.
Go to the mirror, baby. Go to the mirror. That's what I'm advising you to do.
No one imagined me as Juliet. That's because of their lack of imagination.
It's me, Frankie Grande, and welcome to Dream Roll.
This is the time to keep exploring these incredible interfaces that connect us all to one another.
Here's your opportunity to sit with your dream. Stay on your path.
That's really great. That's really great. I saw one of my former students from Gettysburg, Marcus Johnson, was in that. I saw him. He was dancing. He's one of the dancers. Just how a lot of people must be thinking, right now with this current world that we're in, that this is so not theater. This is so not theater. Theater has evolved, centuries of evolvement. What theater was pre-COVID, wasn't what theater was 2 centuries ago. I mean, it constantly evolves, and it's a multimedia now, and we all carry little, computers in our phone, in our, pockets. So it's what we are in right now. And we're gonna get back to it later, eventually, but it's great to embrace how theater is evolving. And it's great that we have Broadway On Demand and many other places to help us navigate this new world. One last quick question. How is the ticket pricing determined? How does Broadway On Demand get their cut?
Great question. You determine the ticket price, whatever you want it to be. We add a service fee based on a kind of a sliding scale of what that ticket price is.
And there was as I recall, I've done 2 shows with Broadway On Demand. There was a very small setup fee. Mm-hmm. And actually there's even less of a setup fee if it's with Play Scripts Broadway licensing, I think, because you're partner companies. But yeah, it was great. I think my Clue stay-at-home version, I charged $10 a ticket, and so when a patron would buy it from Broadway On Demand, it was $13. So I got my 10. That's all I know. So.
Yeah.
I think that is everything. I want to thank you, Traylon, from Broadway On Demand, and everybody for joining us today. Please do visit aact.org to find out more information about all that AACT provides. We've obviously got our biannual national festival information there, our conferences. Eventually we'll get back to in-person things. We really, really will. What we're in right now is not forever. We just have to remember that. It's not forever. And we'll get back to it. But check out aact.org/webinars for more educational components of what we're bringing to you. And please do tell friends, aact.org. There's a lot that a lot of people don't really know about us yet, and they're not sure how to, what they can be doing in this current pandemic that we're in right now. But there's a lot of help that you can find at aact.org. Great. Have a great day, everybody.